Okay, that's new. So, welcome everyone. And I'd love for you to breathe deeply and take a moment to tune in, kind of move your body a little, wiggle yourself into your body. Breathing in as if you could breathe into the base of your spine, breathing out as if you could breathe out into the earth through your grounding, perhaps refresh your roots, sending them deep into the planet. On the next in-breath, calling in your light, breathing your light right down your core. Let it spiral down your center and follow it in. The light can be this serpentine energy that encircles each of the chakras and nurtures them. As it flows all the way down your core, and let your consciousness also come into your core. Breathing out the grounding, releasing, letting go. And on the next in-breath, breathe up earth energy, the upward spiraling serpent. Calling up earth energy, calling up kundalini, and letting it spiral up around the chakras. In this way we nourish and nurture the chakra system, bring them into balance. Letting go on the out breath so that earth energy and your life force fills your body. Pulling in your light, breathing in your essence from source. Follow it in right into your heart chakra. Letting it flow all the way into your heart. Maybe put your hand over your heart and bless yourself. Letting yourself really come to rest in the sanctuary of your heart. Making a beautiful place there for you. And breathe in that blessing you're offering yourself. Focus on receiving your own blessing. Receiving your own love. Can you let your heart expand with your love and your consciousness? Breathing in the love of the divine, allowing the love of your guides and these radiant ascended masters who work with us to flow into your heart and focus on receiving. Letting your heart expand with the love of the universe. Inviting that love to absorb all that is less than love and light as it cleanses and purifies and nurtures your heart. With each breath, dropping deeper into the heart of your heart, the heart of now, inviting your loved ones in spirit to align the heart of your heart with the heart of earth, the heart of your being, the heart of all that is. And to recalibrate all your energies to current time, dissolving all that's gone before, that's completed, and imagined or feared futures. All your energies arrive in now, recalibrated to current time, informed by the love in your heart. I am that I am. Feeling the light of your soul essence in the heart of the love, in the heart of your heart, and open to it. Breathing in the love, breathing in the light. And once again, bless yourself. And breathe in that blessing. I receive my blessing, my love, and the love of all that is. Blessed be. And as you're ready, let's stand and shake out. Sorry, the pollen's getting to me these days. So let your body shake out. Go really down in your knees. And then your shoulders. Oh, let's just take them in a circle. And then let's stretch one side. See how full a stretch you can get on that side. Breathing in, body's facing forward. And the other. Back to the first. And the other. So let's do this back stretch. My fist in the small of your back. And on the in-breath, begin to go back. And on the out-breath, see if you can go even a little further, but be kind to your back. Take a breath, come up a little bit. Maybe more stretch on the out-breath. And let your body go forward. All the way over. And shake out. Stretch out the back of your knees. Breathing in, come all the way up, stacking one vertebra at a time. Shoulders relaxed, head's the last to come up. And let's just do a little clearing. Ha, 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 ha. Ah! Yeah! Coming back to your seat. Okay. So, let's check in, whatever you most want to share, most passionate about, how you are with your commitments, or anything else you want to share. And would somebody be willing to time? Okay, thank you. Who would like to go first? Devorah?
Well, my God, such big news. I've mentioned my cousin Howard and his daughter, my niece Kimmy, and Howard died on Thursday. And I found out Friday morning. Hi, Laura.
Good
morning. Hi, Laura.
Hi, good morning. Sorry, guys. What?
What were you going to say?
Oh, my kitchen clock, the battery must be dying because there was a discrepancy between my cell phone and the kitchen clock. And anyway, I was going by the kitchen clock and old school.
Glad you're here, and we're meditated and grounded, so you might just take a moment to drop in. We just started doing check-in.
Great.
So, Devorah, do you want to share that again so Laura has a context?
Yeah. Kai, would you just restart the timer for me? Thank you. So, Laura, I had just said that I've been mentioning my cousin Howard and his daughter Kimmy, who I've been building a relationship with. And I found out Friday morning that Howard died suddenly. His heart stopped. And so, you know, in the text that I received initially from Kimmy was, call me, I need you. And Friday, 4 p.m., I was on my way, and I am now in Arizona, making my way across the country, and going to be meeting the girls in person for the first time tomorrow. And I really feel like, you know, I really thought, I don't know, you know, this is just a soul thing, really, because I really thought, fuck, he's going to die soon. I know because when I found out he had a heart condition, I was just like, oh, he's going to die. I'm going to have to cut my trip short and just hightail it across the country and be there for the girls. And sure enough, that has happened. And, you know, basically, I just feel like I have a soul contract, definitely with Kimmy. And to be like a mom to her, you know, they have a mother with narcissistic personality disorder and other problems. And, you know, it's just fucking intense. And I've just gone through so many different emotions. Like I'm there, I'm doing it. And at moments it's like complete terror, you know, like when I found out the debt that they're in, they were homeless. And when their dad left the mom a couple years ago. And so there's that. And then there's also, like in my mind, Howard, my cousin, was not communicating with his wife, his ex-wife. And so I felt like I can have a relationship, but the daughters are. And so I have to deal with that. And so, but I've like had this amazing, okay, I had this amazing experience where I felt some like a heart opening forgiveness towards the mother. And that's good because I'm going to be officiating at the funeral, which is going to be, we're all going to go to Yosemite because he wants his ashes scattered there. But Kimmy and I will go in one car. The mother and the other daughter will go in the other. So, you know, this is like my new reality. It's good I don't have a job because now I have a full-time job. And I really feel like I am the person who is the most qualified person to be undertaking this awesome and sacred task. I was a hospice chaplain, for God's sake. I lost my own mother when she was the same age that their dad was. You know, just so many different things. And really, when I was with Evalena, okay, thanks, Kai. When I was with Evalena, you know, I had this initiation experience. It was such a peak and there was so much healing. And I'm really like the healthiest I've ever been in my life. And, you know, when you have an initiation, who knows what you're being initiated into? And so apparently it's this in part. So I'm just like, it's an experience of like intense, deep surrender. And also just my intention is to give all that I can while remaining balanced and centered. So, you know, these are girls who know nothing about boundaries. So, you know, I know a fair amount about boundaries. And so I need to continue with them. And so I don't know what's happening. I have no clue where my life is going. And I just have to surrender my agenda and know that this is what I'm here to do. And I appreciate all of your love and support and good vibes. So I will definitely receive your love.
Breathe it in. It really touches my heart that you're responding with this kind of love for those girls. They're lucky to have you. Yeah. Okay. Who's next? Kimberly?
So I'm in a good place in my life at the moment, which is hard for me to say when you guys are all struggling so much. So I feel for you, and I kind of hate to speak, but that's my truth at the moment. I'm in a good place. I have 3 more sleeps till I go to Alaska, and this last week has been prepping for that. I'm just so excited. I just feel the world's about to open from that trip, and I don't know what that's going to entail, but there's something big coming from that trip, and I'm just, yeah, I'm beyond excited about that. This week has been a continuation of learning that self-mastery of empathetic skills. I have, I don't want to use the word routines, but I have certain processes I go through first thing in the morning and last thing at night to clear and center and build my sort of sovereignty around myself. And I channel a lot. And I don't know if that's too much, but I channel a lot throughout the day. And so I hope that's not too much. And maybe that's some feedback at some point. The Council of 12 can just make a quick comment on. But yeah, it's like I have this whole community with me all the time. And it's just wonderful. Yeah, that's me and my week. Thank you.
Me too. Why not? You ready for loving?
Thank you, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next. Katie?
Hi. So, I feel like for me, I've really tried to be open to new perspectives recently, which is really scary for me, especially with money. And I'm just at a point where, like planning is one thing, but worrying to the point I was is another. And so, um, just that trust and surrender that I'm doing enough is what I'm working towards. Um, and it's really scary, but I'm doing it.
Good. You ready for some loving?
I don't know. I I have a really hard time accepting love. Like for me, it's always been transactional, so I think I'm gonna pass. But thank you. I really appreciate it, but I'm just not ready.
Okay. And I want to just suggest the love here has no strings attached.
Sometimes I have a curiosity, Katie, if we all like looked outside instead of looking at the camera and looking at you. Sometimes it's easier to, and I'm not pressure, this is no pressure, it's just a curiosity. Like sometimes I just want to look away and like hold you in love, not necessarily like overpower you with love. And so I look out at the redwood tree and I just imagine you. And anyway, that's my offering. And it's, you always have choice, of course.
I don't think I'm ready for that yet, but I appreciate it.
Okay. So let's all take a breath. And who is next? Kai?
Oh, sorry, my timer. Let's see. It's been, I mean, I'm kind of in this new chapter. Like, it was so interesting looking at my bookshelf and being like, okay, I have no assigned reading right now. I can just pick any book I want to read. That was actually a really interesting inquiry. I ended up picking this one on ecosexuality, which is like a bunch of like I guess it's like a compilation of people exploring this theme of nature as lover rather than as mother. And I mean, it's actually, I'm just kind of diving, just starting to be into it, but it was interesting to check into that. And I was called to duty to, I was a little resistant to sub for an 8th grade class on Friday, and I waited until like 9:30 at night to see if anyone else would take take the opportunity. But then it was so cute. My son was like, because I was checking with him, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to help you with school if I do this, and he was like, you know, when someone needs your help, mom, and you can help, you really should help. And I was really touched that was how he. So I'm just in a really delightful space with him right now. There's been a maturation that's happened since his 7th birthday. And he's just really into conversation right now, and we're like I don't know, we're really in a good connected place. And then it was interesting, it was just good information, like subbing. I love stepping into being of service, and it was like the 5 hours went by really quickly, and I had some cool conversations with these 13-year-olds, and I haven't hung out with 13-year-olds since I was 13 almost. But I was so exhausted at the end of the day too, so it was a little bit of a a little bit of a reality check around that. So I'm just kind of like, oh, I think I should keep on doing that for a while. Like this year, I just feel like is going to be one of doing more of that and connecting more with my son. And then, oh, that's me. 30 seconds here. And then also just continuing on with my healing, I had a Qi Sung, which is like a Chinese abdominal massage. And that was really, really interesting for me because there was a lot of tenderness that I was kind of surprised about. And I think I have some insight to some of my chronic headaches. He was like, whoa, there's a lot of liver congestion here. And I was super tender. My liver was super tender. And he was like, oh, do you have headaches? And I was like, yeah. And I've been so like, because it's been manifesting as shoulder tension. So I don't know. I've been looking at all these dietary things and anything, but now I feel like this is a little bit of help. And he was just like, well, actually, I think just deep breathing is going to help you too. And he showed me some abdominal massage techniques. And so I just feel like I have some more self-healing and to do. And I'm just really, really grateful that I have the time to do that. So yeah, that's my time. And I guess that's good for now. And I'll receive some loving. Thank you.
Hmm. Yay. Laura?
I feel like I maybe caught up a little bit. I got so much done this morning. It was amazing. I've been waking up super early and kind of going with that instead of fighting it and like trying to fall back asleep and then some nights really having a hard time sleeping. I think that there's so much transformation and there's a level of working with other people's energy in my body and in my psyche that these mentorships it's really been helping me to clarify what's my own energy and what's not my energy and how to move someone else's energy out and just been have this situation that I need to kind of deal with, but right now it's really more about the psychic space and just like working over and over and over and over to clear this person's energy out of my space and like curious about how often they can make their way in and like continually, nope, there's the window, it's open, or nope, there's the door, it's open, and pulling in some help once in a while and just realizing that this morning it really struck me that I don't entirely know what it's like to be in a body that isn't numb. And that feels like a huge kind of revelation or curiosity, or I don't know. It just sort of dropped in like, wow, what I wonder what it's like. Like I've been working with a naturopath, thank you, Kai, and just did some gut testing and so it's sort of like I wonder what it's like to have good gut health and what that would feel like. And so as opposed to maybe there's a focus on what's wrong, it's more moving into, wow, I wonder what this would feel like if there was health in this system. And so it's maybe more moving toward the blueprint as opposed to continuing to put the same album on the turntable that has been played for 51 years. So anyway, there's a lot of transformation. I feel some anxiety, and I also feel completely okay. So it's an interesting place to be sitting, like to have so much change and so much transformation and letting go of so much, like letting go of the identity of the midwife and that holding that space, and yet so much feels like it's opening because of that. So anyway, I could keep going, but I'll stop and receive some love from y'all. Thanks.
So I've been deep in my home search. Didn't plan to start so soon, but I'm glad I did because everybody gets so many applications. It's really challenging. But I think I look really good. Great references, great credit. So I found a place, I applied, they accepted me, and I looked at the lease. I don't think I talked about this last week, did I? It was the landlady from hell. It was 11 pages, tiny type, right down to what kind of cleaning supplies I should use when I leave. And that they would inspect in 2 months and every 6 months. I mean, she's used to college students, I think, and I had to say no. And then I found one yesterday that I really like. So she's deciding tomorrow or Thursday. So I'd love for you to all just add your love to me getting 2 Maplewood Parkway. 2 Maplewood Parkway, Asheville. It becomes my new home. And the woman Tanya, who's been living there, just loves me and is saying, yes, Evalena, we want you, we want you. Universe, make it so. Thank you. So after I said no to the first one, it was like, I always tell people to do ritual. I haven't done ritual yet. So I did this whole big ritual, and Babaji said, until you tell them no, it won't come on the market. And I had seen everything on the market, or I'd looked it up online. So I told him no, I did a ritual, and this one came on the market 20 minutes later. So that felt good. And I've got candles around my page that has all the things I want and all the things I don't want. So I think we got it. Yay! So the other one I was moving July 15th, and this one I'm moving June 1st. Well, I'm taking it June 1st. I have till July 1st, but it's like fast. Oh well, it's just a move. And I have the fewest clients that I've had in a year and a half, so I think it's prepared for it. There's plenty of room to get this handled. So, as you were speaking, Laura, about clearing someone out of your space, I wanted to give you all a tool that's really helpful for people who keep coming in. Getting a journal. Did we work with roses? Putting somebody in a rose? Yeah. This is another version of it. You put several roses in your field with that person's name on it. And you program it that those roses catch their energy, so it's outside your aura field, right at the outside. And then every day or two, you take them out and burn them and put new ones up. And that can really help to catch the energy, keep it from getting in your space. And also to do that burning of the rose, because that, when you put the person in a rose and burn the rose, it helps to clear the cords. And you may want to go through and release cords. So, yes, Devora.
So I can understand why you use a rose. Your name is Evalena Rose, but roses are not something that like I really deeply connect with. And so I'm wondering if you could share what the energy of the rose is because there might be something that's kind of feels more resonant for me than a rose. If you share a little bit about what the rose represents, then I can think what represents that to me.
Okay. And I learned the technique long before I took the name Rose. I think it's partly because it's like the heart chakra, that when it opens, it just keeps opening. And if you notice, oftentimes when a rose is not completely open, all the petals are just finishing, it'll look like a little heart in the middle. So it tends to represent the heart chakra. Um, but basically, it's just something to contain it. You know, you put a cow out there. I don't think anything would work if you think it works. It's some containment field. Maybe it's a basket or a sphere, a crystal. Something that catches the energy that you can then feel like you can burn. You might not want to burn a cow. I don't. but that's the idea, is that it has the complexity of a rose that can catch the energy and hold it, and then you burn it, and then again. I've also just done, like, if I put there someone's energy, I want to move it out, I'll just have the angels make a sphere of light and move it into that sphere of light. So the Council of 12, it's an amazing being, amazing gathering of ascended masters, and to me also goddess archetypes. And it's a rotating group of beings. So whoever they're channeling to, they'll call in the beings that that particular person needs for answering their questions. So for when I channel them, Babaji's almost always a part of it. And we've developed that over the last 20 years, rather than me channeling a whole bunch of different beings, that they channel through Babaji and I channel Babaji. Sometimes he's on assignment. He had one this last week, and then it might be Metatron. Archangel Metatron's a part of it time to time. Melchizedek. Melchizedek was my first major guide, and he's one of the few archangels that has had 2 lifetimes on the planet. And there's the Urantia book is the Order of Melchizedek. He's in the Old Testament, and I think the Quran, I'm not for sure, but I think so. He's one of the just amazing ascended masters that you'll see reference to now that you have the name. Do you want me to spell it for you? I'll put it in the chat. Melchizedek. Sananda, also known as Christ or Jesus, that was one of his incarnations. He's often a part of it. Mother Mary at times. Saint Germain at times. Last night I was channeling for a group called an Ascension Club. Group of people that just started reading books about ascension and meeting once a week, and wow, they got a long ways. They're all channeling. And all of a sudden, Saint Germain pops in and goes, well, yes, of course you want to study that. You studied that when you were my student 300 years ago. So they'll come back in when they'll come in when they're associated with someone, but they don't always come. Someone once asked, how many are there on the Council of 12? So that was interesting, because you'd think 12, right? And they said, well, it depends. About 33. when you look at all the ascended masters and beings of light that work with us, if you look at our ascended experiences through the realms, it's about 330. If you include all of our lifetimes that we've had on the planet doing service there, it's about 3,300. So they call from a lot of experiences and beings. And Kali always comes when there's energy to be transmuted. She comes in, she does her work, and she leaves. She's not one to hang out. She's amazing to channel. She's so full of fire. And occasionally, Durga comes if there's more of that work to do. Kali was purportedly born from the forehead of Durga when she was having a battle with demons. And they both are triple goddesses, creator, preserver, destroyer. They're creatrix, they're a mother goddess. They preserve that which needs to be preserved, and they destroy that which is destructive, particularly male demonic power. So they're part of it. Kuan Yin, sometimes when we need support in absorbing suffering. Isis occasionally. And then there are others that come and go, but those are the main ones that I work with. Avalokiteshvara. I don't think I can spell that one for you. It's the Hindu version of Kuan Yin. So, then other goddesses will come in at times. Is that helpful? And they're very wide-ranging. They work on this planet, but they also work in the cosmos. Oh, we wanted to share with you. Last time we did that phenomenal healing of lifting all the witches out of the bardos, it had a part 2. So a few days later, suddenly, Babaji was called to this and a whole bunch of other beings, and they did another level of clearing the energies from the burning times. And they wanted me to express their deep gratitude to all of you for starting that with us. It's pretty amazing. And I do hang out with guides all the time, Kimberly. They're my primary social circle. You know, I have some embodied friends, but I feel what I want to be doing is channeling my life. And it's not, I'm channeling someone else speaking through me, but I'm in the channel where I'm one with higher consciousness throughout my life. So yeah, great friends to hang out with. I don't know that I have much to say about developing skills of telepathy, and we'll see what the council wants to do with that one. So Laura, I asked people if there was something they wanted covered. That's what I'm looking at. And spiritual counseling skills. So if you wish, I teach a piece of communication that I don't think other people teach. And it's really important in giving information to people and feedback to people. You've gotten taste of it when I suggest that you take the negatives out of your channeling. If you'd like, I'll go over that a little bit. Does that seem good? Okay. So it starts with speaking above the line. The line is neutral. Above the line are ways of speaking that build self-esteem, yours and the other person's. And below the line are ways that diminish self-esteem, yours and the other person's. And whatever you say below the line, you can say above the line. You basically take out all the negatives. In this society, we've kind of learned to set boundaries in the negative. I don't want to do that. I'm not up for that. You know, we say what we're not up for. And I think it's kind of led to us giving feedback in the negative. You don't need to do that. You don't need to worry about that. That makes people feel worse because now you're telling them what not to do, but you're reinforcing worrying and their mind picks up worry. So when you take it above the line, you're challenged to say what you do want. I'd love for you to release those concerns. I think you've got this. Feel how better that is? That builds their self-esteem and yours, because instead of trying to tell them what not to do, you're giving them something. So you feel better and they get treated like someone who could make a difference. And I use this in my counseling, my therapy work a lot. I want to find, and channeling, I want to find a way to say anything I say above the line. What we add to that is a love sandwich. So it's a valuing statement, a slice of love, and a valuing statement. Second slice of love. So you find something to say in the positive, and then you request your feedback, and then this is what people tend to leave off, is something in the positive about the value they will get from paying attention to your feedback. So it might be, I really appreciate the work we're doing together, and I feel your receptivity to some of what I've said. And what I notice is a great way to start feedback, because it addresses the mind. What I notice is whenever I speak something about your family, I hear what seems to me to be, I'm making this up as we go, what seems to me to be defensive. So I hear, oh, no, but. And I'm curious, I'd love for you to look at that, because I think there's a richness in that. If you pay attention to how you're responding to that, would you be open to looking to that? So I tell them what they'll get from it, you see. So, because I think we can put anything in a love sandwich, think of something you might want to say to someone in the negative, and we'll try it out. Okay, Katie?
So I had a client recently who kept asking about if their partner was being unfaithful. And I got to a point where, is this really a good use of your energy to want to know all the details kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
And what would be a better way to look at that?
So that's a great one. I think you look at what are they really wanting, and so I would probably start with that of I I understand you're really trying to get your head around what's going on with your partner. What I notice is you ask the same question many times about whether your partner's unfaithful. And what I would love to do is to get to what's under that question I have a feeling there'll be a lot of rich information there, and we'll be able to really address what your needs are rather than just give you an answer. Does that seem helpful?
It does, because I feel like the clients that bring that up to me, there's a deeper root cause
Mm-hmm.
versus someone who, I'll just be honest with them, they're like, I kind of felt that. Thank you for clarifying. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And when I'm channeling or therapy, but especially channeling, because people tend to think, or medium, people think you know everything. And it's not really true. We know what is there to be known, but sometimes we're not allowed to see into that. So I rarely answer yes and no questions. I'll say, well, I'm really curious. What's behind your question, and what's behind the needing to know? And I'd love to hear what's going on in your heart around that. I I give it back to them to look at what might be happening. Because I don't want to be there. I'm below the line. I'll say it below the line, and then I'll say it above the line. I don't want to be just an answer person, to make people feel safe or not safe. So above the line, I want my work with people to support their growth rather than just give them answers. To help them look at what's behind the question and what would you need to say to your partner? What conversation wants to happen between the two of you? The other piece about this, about communication, is negotiation. Very often, you say something and the other person says something that may even be designed to shut you down, but it kind of shuts you down. It's kind of like, oh, no, 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 that's not true. And then we stop. In counseling and in friendships, I think we want to keep going there. It might be, okay, so I hear your no, and I'm really curious. It seems to me there's something in what I offered you that would be valuable. I wonder if there's a kernel of truth in what I said. Even if it isn't completely true, is there a kernel of truth you could get from that? Because I'd like for you to explore this a little deeper in whatever way works for you. Second slice of love. And I think we tend to stop. I see it so often with partners in relationship of, I'd really love for you to go to therapy with me. No, 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 no. And then they're done. And I'll say, go back, talk some more. So I hear that your first response to therapy is no, and let me explain how I feel it's really important, because I think it would support our communication with each other. It would give us an opportunity to get some shared language, and I wonder if you'd be willing to at least consider it. So now I'm out of yes and no territory, because I think it would, and there's the other slice of love, I think it would take us into a deeper state of intimacy if we had someone to help us talk these things through. And I want that with you. Reward. The Moore University simplifies this. They call it positive request reward. It's really something, especially with touch, of, how somebody will touch the same way all the time? And you want to go, stop. So the love sandwich is, I love that you want to touch me. And I would love it if you'd take that up my arm. If you'd include more of my body in that touch. Oh yeah, that's nice. And maybe a little softer. Ooh, right there, really soft. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So the reward comes immediately. Let's see if I can apply that to spiritual counseling. Yeah, I think you ask for something from the person, and we do it here. You share something, and we bow, or we do this. People like to feel that whatever they're saying landed. So even if you can't agree with everything, you find something that you can say positive. I think part of what we're doing in spiritual counseling is supporting the building of a true self-esteem. Not just puffing people up, but what can we find in what they're presenting that we can reinforce? So it sounds to me like you've really been thinking this through. That's great. And I'm really happy you've done some journaling about it. And I'm curious what you've learned. I use I'm curious a lot. And I encourage people, if they're talking, let's say you're counseling someone and whoever they're concerned about can't really hear them. Very often I'll say, I want to suggest you go to inquiry. I have a person I've worked with for many years, and she's constantly or consistently, I don't want to say constantly, having friends that it feels like talk about themselves all the time and don't ask about her. And so her way might be to say, well, I noticed that you never want to talk about me. We've spent 20 minutes now and 18 of them have been about you. It's hard to keep friends that way. And so I'll say, I want to suggest the use of inquiry. So it might be to say, I've been willing to listen to what you've been sharing so far, and I'm curious if you'd like to know something about what's going on with me. Or I'm curious if we could shift the conversation to something else. And the other might say, well, what do you want to talk about? And it's not so much that. I'd love to have a conversation beyond just telling our stories. I'd love to have a conversation about what you're passionate about, what's in your heart, or what are we learning from this amazing time we're in. Because I think that, and this is, people leave off this second slice of love, I think that will give us a deeper way of connecting that'll feel really fulfilling to both of us. So it's that second slice is what we both get out of it. So I want to hear, is this what you're wanting, Devora? Is there something more you want with this? Do any of you have things you can think of that might be challenging to say to someone that we can reframe? Devora?
So my aunt, Howard's mom, lives in the Phoenix area. And my brother very judgmentally told me that I should be visiting with her. And I just didn't even respond to this text message. I didn't have the energy. I have very little energy right now, except to do what I need to do. And I'm glad I didn't respond. But I guess what I what I was thinking at first, but I'm trying to think like, okay, the initial love is, I appreciate how you're thinking about Aunt Roberta and what her needs are. And it is, of course, really difficult to lose a child. I've had numerous conversations with her, and she's really relieved that I'm stepping up for the girls. That's a huge thing for her, that I'm doing this. And I'm relieving her of having to do anything. And she has her husband's children visiting her right now. And I think it would really overwhelm her if I was there, because then she'd have even more guests, and that's very difficult for her. So I don't think that it would necessarily be the
Shift the don't. You're doing great. See if you
okay.
can remove that don't. What do you think instead of what you don't think?
So, as strange as this might sound, I think it's actually a support for her for me to not come and to just be there for her by telephone. And I appreciate your support of me in this thing that I'm doing right now. I don't know what the rest of the love sandwich could be.
Is there any
I don't
way
know how it benefits him to not be. How does it benefit him to stop being so critical of me? I guess is my question.
Perhaps just to say, thank you. Something like, thank you for caring, and I want you to know I've really thought this through already. And it's great that we're all concerned and doing our best to support this family.
And he's doing almost nothing, of course.
Right. Well, his best is shooting you.
Yeah.
And it's probably not the time to address that, what he's not doing. Yeah. But basically, he wants reassurance. He's had one thought of what could happen, and you could do it, and he wants reassurance. So you kind of touch what's wanted behind it in your love sandwich.
Okay. Thank you. That's good. I feel like that I could even say all of that. I've progressed.
That's great. Yeah. That was good.
Thank you.
It was much better than should schmud. Get off my back. This kind of speaking, there's no price to pay. The other, often we're justified in saying, none of your business or whatever, and then we deal with the fallout. But this way, there's almost never fallout. People feel honored. It treats people like they care. And it kind of assumes that people care, even if they don't act that way. Okay. Anything else about this? Katie?
I guess for me, as somebody who's pretty open to dialogue and conversation and doesn't take a whole lot personally, it's like sometimes I just don't have the energy to explain something, or I feel like it's not worth it for me to put that forward. Like I've had people say, why do you have scars on your arm? And I'm like, it's really none of your business. I don't really like, I don't think it's important to nitpick my body. I just, met you, or I don't know you like that kind of thing. Or people who are like, why don't you drink? And I don't really want to go into inflammation and medical stuff. And I'm just like, because I just don't like, and so I'm also an Aquarius, that can be blunt. And I just want to kindly be like, thanks, but no thanks, to almost answering those questions, if that makes sense.
It does. Let's see if I can take it above the line. So, scars on the arm. I appreciate your concern, and I prefer to be private about that. Why don't you drink? I find I'm happier when I let go of drinking. So it's not explaining so much as it just ends the conversation. And they want to know something. They're trying to feel connected in some way. So rather than pushing them away, it's just saying, I'm fine with my choices. So the way I got good at this was I practiced on my own internal conversations. And for 2 years, and I still do it a lot, whatever I'm saying inside, I find a way to take out the negatives. So inside, if I'm saying, I don't want to answer your question, then I go, okay, I would like to release any need to answer your question. Or I feel like I prefer talking about what we're talking about. Just, it's Aikido. You redirect them. Aikido, you meet them where they are. It's like, well, I appreciate your concern, and this feels very private to me. Or I appreciate your concern, and I love not drinking. It's really made my life good. Yeah. Laura.
Well, I'm struck by, it's like there's a softness about your approach. It's very yin. I'm still open to connecting. You're not closing a door.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I noticed, and so it involves the principle of welcome. It's like there's a welcome there, but there's also a boundary there. But when you were talking about the spiritual counseling and the love sandwich, it's almost about attunement. It's like you're attuning to the other person so that they feel seen and feel attuned to, recognized, important, welcome, and yet you're also setting a boundary, which is really powerful. I mean, I grew up in a conflict avoidant home with two parents who we were all merged, and so there was codependence and merging and fusion and lack of boundaries and gaslighting. And so when I try to speak my truth and set boundaries, it's like a swirl of anxiety. And what I know about myself is I have to be really grounded. And in the past, I've asked for help. How should I respond to this situation? What would you say? And then I've used some of those words from someone else, and they're somehow not quite me. And then I have to defend that does that make sense? And so in this current situation that I have, I actually haven't responded to my client who sent me a pretty you did this, you did that text. It was very accusatory.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel somewhat remiss that I haven't responded. And yet there's something very important to me about getting the response right.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, I don't want to fuel the fire. And two,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get into a defensive, like game playing situation. And so I feel like there are some nuggets here that will be really helpful in that response, because I do need to defend myself and clarify that there were some things that I didn't do that I'm being accused of. But I also know that there's like that quagmire of manipulation and gaslighting and overriding is somewhere where it's really easy for me to get lost
Mm-hmm.
and doubt myself and be like, oh God, maybe I misunderstood the whole, like I can really go down a rabbit hole of self doubt. So it's just an interesting, I didn't have siblings where I could kind of bounce it off and be like, are they crazy or am I crazy? It was kind of like, no, they're both crazy and I have to figure it out and I have to navigate this soupy water so I notice when I get into these situations that feel very soupy and unclear, I want to bolt, but I also can really doubt myself. Anyway, I feel like I should wrap up because I find it also fascinating, I love the nuggets of what you provided, and it's about it, again, coming back to that attunement and wanting to feel that this person actually sees the care that I gave, so I'm not feeling attuned to, but also anyway. Yeah, I feel like I'm going on and on.
Well, I love that you picked up the piece about this kind of languaging attunes to the person. They feel attuned to, they feel seen. And I think even in a conflict situation, that's possible. I often, if people have 10 things about me they have to tell me, I'll often start with the kernel of truth. Because if I own some piece of it, they're more able to hear the rest of it. If I start with what isn't true or what I know is different, I've lost them. So I might say, I might, since it's been a little while, say, I really had to sit with what you wrote because I wanted to be thoughtful in responding to it. And what I'm willing to own is, and you own whatever kernels you do. And what I also notice is there's some areas that feels as if we understand these differently. And then you share your experience. And then I want to finish with the love sandwich of I look forward to us being able to talk this through. I believe we can come to some resolution if we both keep our hearts open to each other. And that's important to me, that we find a meeting ground, something of that sort. I had a person that she fired me some time ago, and I was so happy because she'd love to get in a session and berate me for various things. And I had gotten pretty good at just letting her be angry, but I think I got to some point where it wasn't too much. And so she fired me, and I went, okay, that's great. Then she came back. I was like, oi, 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 oi. So the first, I knew she was going to first have to confront me. So the first thing I did was I talked to Babaji about how thick of an energetic field can we create with me. And he asked me to come into his light body with him. So we merged light bodies. And it felt like I had this field around me about that thick. It was thick. So I got on the call with this woman and she went on and nothing came in. No merging at all. So I was able to stay really in my wisdom self. And I heard her through and I said at some point, well, are you willing? I'd like to reflect what I hear. That kind of calmed it down a little. And then she went on and on in her anger at her mother. And then I was able to say, well, I really hear how angry you are, and I'd like you to consider such and such and such. So when someone's in anger, when they're in big emotion, that's really the time to go mental. Isn't that interesting? We do this in New Culture. If someone is just pouring out emotion, you can't meet them in the emotional realm and do much work because they're just cathartic. And, there are times when someone's got a lot of anger, I want to help them cathartic. But if that's what they do all the time, you want to get them out of cathartic. And so I might say, so what I notice is, and give her some information. And she started considering it. And then she calmed down. And then we could do some work. And the session went a half hour over because the whole first hour was no work. But to get to that place where there was room to listen, meant meeting her where she was and then slowly helping move her toward some resolution. But that owning of whatever piece, even if it's 5% of what they're saying, they feel like, well, at least she heard something, then they're willing to listen more. And I want to avoid defensiveness, but I can still offer truth about my experience. So it might be what my mind tells me if I'm going mental, or my understanding, or what I felt we said, if heart space is where I want to go. So, or I wonder if you'd be willing to hear my side. I hear your side and I validate it. That's where reflective listening comes in. And then I'm curious if you'd be willing to hear what happened over here for me. And if they say no, don't tell them. One of the things I learned about having a conversation is first you negotiate the willingness to have the conversation. So if they say, no, I'm not ready to hear it, you don't have willingness, so don't waste your breath. Okay. And I'd love if we can get to that place at some point. What else do you want me to hear first? But that shield I really recommend that. If you're dealing with someone who is really invasive, ask your favorite ascended master to merge light bodies with you. That was thick. I was almost wanting to laugh while she was throwing all of this at me because nothing got within inches of me. Bless you. Okay. Devorah.
I just wanted to say thank you because that was all wonderful. And there was one thing that you said, which was especially helpful, which was that you got good at this by practicing on your own internal conversations. Mm-hmm. Because of course, we all just talk so negatively to ourselves. I mean, I assume everybody does. I do. And if I can, alter the internal dialogues, and actually since I've been living the van life, I talk aloud all the time to myself. And so this will be great, because when I hear myself saying something that isn't very nice, I can remember this and practice on myself. And that's kind of like takes the charge away from my feeling like I need to get it right with other people. I mean, I am trying to get it right, but like, all right, well, I can just do a lot of practice right here. So thank you. Great suggestion.
It changed my life, that practice with myself. And I do it all the time now. And I rarely go to negativity with others because it's so kind in here now. So that kindness is available because I'm giving it to myself. Yeah, it's been a really good practice. Um, if you're speaking with someone who knows this above the line, and it's wise to teach it to people that you're associated with a lot. If you're practicing with that kind of person, you can say, you know, I really want to hear what you're saying, and I think if you'd be willing to take it above the line, I could hear it. If they don't know the language, you can say, I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying, and the negative words are making it hard to hear it. So I wonder if you could say it in the positive, because I want to hear what you want instead of what you don't want. Would you be willing to tell me what you're really wanting from me? So you're basically saying, can you take it above the line? And then the second slice of love, I feel I could hear you better. The reason for that second slice of love, I talk about this when I do it in a Tantra setting. So people may get to where they actually ask for what they want in touch. So you ask, you get it, you don't say anything. No reward. You ask, you get it, you don't say anything. About the third or fourth time, your partner goes, I can never please you. And they may have been pleasing you all along. So you want to let people know when they please you. You'll get more pleasure. So when something really touches you, you let them know. You finish that loop of, thank you. Oh, I loved hearing that. You ask someone to share, and then they do, and you go, that was really sweet that you let me know, let me in on that. Yeah. So by the time I talk to all of you, I expect you to be really kind to yourself inside. Took me 2 years, so maybe not the next time we talk. And I encourage you to practice it. It really makes a difference. Okay. Thank you. We ready for a break? Okay. So let's do about 40 after the hour. Maybe 41. We needed 9 minutes last time. I didn't ask her.
Evalena, sorry, it's Kimberly here. I'm not quite sure how to get my screen back up again. I can see all of you, but I put myself out of view, and I'm not quite sure what I need to do to bring me back into screen.
So we see you.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's, let's see.
In your little box, if you go up to the far right corner,
Yes.
there's an option to hide self-view or allow self-view.
Oh, no, that didn't work.
Okay. Now we don't see you.
Okay.
Down on the far left corner, stop video or start video, you can look there.
Okay. Ah, there we go. Thank you. Sorry. Just had a momentary blank.
And Kimberly, just so you know, you might have been thinking that you're hiding yourself during our breaks, but you are not.
Oh.
And we can always see you. And the button to press is stop video. That's the one that will hide you from our view. So just so you know, moving forward.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Usually we have this big screen of Kimberly during our breaks.
Enjoy my ceiling?
Yes, a lovely ceiling. I want to say one other thing that occurred to me. I've done a lot of work with New Culture, and we have people, I'm not going to explain the whole thing about Zeg Forum, but people reveal what's going on with themselves. And one of the things we acknowledge is when someone has an issue with you, it's all about them. And I think that's really valuable. And that's part of how I can listen to someone berating me and not go personal with it. Is it's really about them. And I want to get curious about what's going on for them. Who do I remind them of? What's getting triggered? You know, there's an ounce of truth in it about me, but mostly it's about them. And if I can hold that sense of distance, I can listen with my heart. And if I'm taking it personally, then I'm trying to manage that, especially when we're working, when we're here to channel for people or do therapy with people. We want to see what they're doing and go, okay, if this isn't about me, what's going on? And what is there any part in here that's about me? But the rest of it, can I really listen with the ears of someone who's curious about them? Okay. Shall we call in our friends? So, breathing and grounding. Flow right into your core and your heart once again. I ask the angels and archangels, please create for us a crystalline temple of radiant energy, crystalline temple of light, all around this work and each of us, cleansing and clearing all energies not of the light from around any of us, and weaving for each one of us our own chrysalis of radiant light, filled with the very rays and vibrations needed for each person for this work. I ask God, Goddess, source of all that is, encompasses in your radiant light, ensure only beings serving love, light, and truth may participate in any way. Highest truth is all that is spoken. Deepest healing and guidance is received. If you will, breathe and ground, invoking your own most radiant high self. to assist you in receiving all you need, releasing all it serves to release, and filling with your radiance, breathing in your light and light from Source. I welcome into this sacred temple the Council of 12, and those beings from the heart of the light only, who are guides or loved ones for anyone here. Greetings, dear ones. We greet you, we bless you, we're honored to be with you. And we notice that just as we begin, it begins raining, so you might just imagine the universe wants to wash you through with waterfalls of light. And just let that energy come through, wash away everyone else's energy, wash away whatever you no longer need in your past, and fill you with light. We're very honored to have had these weeks with all of you, to witness your evolutionary changes. And we're thrilled to hear I'm channeling all the time. Is that too much? No. It's kind of like happiness. There's no such thing as too much happiness, and no such thing as too much channeling. We feel that over time you develop the sense that I'm in this universe with these beings. It's like your world doesn't stop with the crown chakra. Your world begins to include the mystery and the cosmos. You start recognizing, whoa, there's a lot happening out here. I want to be a part of it. I want to understand it and contribute and let it grow me. And so you, in a way, you take up residence as a universal citizen. Some people take up residence as a cosmic citizen. So the universe is, okay, I'm a part of this universe. I want to know what's happening all through the universe. And we can relate with other planetary beings and beings from other planetary systems. And that's all really fascinating. When we did the work with you all last time of clearing so many who were caught by the horrific deaths of being a witch, when we did that work, we were all cosmic citizens for that period of time. That's where it gets really interesting, is where you're looking at, well, if this pattern's in me, where else is this pattern? And can I be a voice for releasing, let's say, the pattern of making myself wrong? Can I be a voice for releasing that? Well, let's see. Okay, councils of light. I invoke your presence, Great Mother Goddess. I invoke your presence. I don't know how to release this pattern of making myself wrong, but I imagine it's in lots of humans. So I ask the cosmos to rearrange itself around dissolving this pattern from all of us. And on behalf of all people who are available or willing to love themselves more deeply, I offer up these patterns of thinking less of ourselves and putting ourselves down. And I ask that I be shown ways to relate to myself that are kind and loving and compassionate and effective in helping me move forward in my world. And may it be so for everyone. So when you pray for everyone, it's always good to close with, as it serves the highest good of myself, all concerned in the universe, so be it, and so it is. It's actually true when you pray for another person. You know, people will say, send me your prayers. Evalena once was recovering from an accident, and she invited people to send her prayers, and within a day she was like, oh, whoa, that's a bit much, y'all. And she learned to say, would you send your prayers to my higher self so that the light can come in as I need it? And that's a good thing to do when you want to pray for someone, is talk to their higher self. Say your prayers and invite their higher self to receive as they're ready to receive it. So you're not putting your agenda on them. Some people don't want to let go of their stuff. And maybe it's not time. We'll find in a channeling that we ask permission. Let's say someone's having a real issue with the father of their children, and they were working out their narcissistic patterns by marrying a narcissist and having a child with them, and now they're like, whoa, but they're not done because they have a child. And we'll call in that person's higher self, and we'll often see if we can help release some of what's troubling the narcissist. Sometimes the higher self says no. The higher self might say, no, this person needs their own lessons. They've got to find their own way out of it. Because, you know, we could probably clear it, and their soul would create another narcissistic life. Because they've got some lessons they want to learn from that. So it isn't always about creating clearing for everyone. It's where's their permission and where isn't there. We also want to name something else, which is occasionally you'll talk to someone's higher self and you'll get a snarky answer back, or you'll get something that doesn't feel like a higher self. Some people's higher selves are polluted. You can have such a thing as a soul pollution. So let's say a being has created an unholy alliance with other beings to try to evolve faster than normal. And they've, in a sense, given up their sovereignty to this alliance. If you try to work with their higher self, you may not get cooperation because their higher self is negatively affected by that alliance. So if you get that sense, what you call upon is the radiant heart of their soul, most aligned with the heart of the divine. Then you'll get purity. And sometimes we're working with someone, the radiant heart of their soul is working with us, and we're working with them, trying to clear the pollution in between. So we want to name that. You may not be where you're healing souls yet, but your guides might want to in this particular situation. And also, just so if you get a response from a higher self and you go, oh, I don't know if I reached their higher self. Well, you may have, but their higher self may not be in great shape. If you want to talk to the pure essence of a being, talk to their spirit, because that is not polluted by incarnation. But souls can be. And it's surprising to some people. It's like, well, I thought I talked to their soul. That has to be full of light. Well, it was, it will be, but it may not be in between. There may be a phase that they're going through that has dampened their light. And really, almost every soul comes to earth and dampens it some, because if you came in full of light, remember who you truly are, you'd encounter life and go, I think I'll go home now. and ascend. So it takes some amnesia to be here. And some people who are creating really challenging lessons in lifetimes may go through a very dark period that even affects the soul. Those kinds of lessons people will set up 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lifetimes. And eventually they'll come out and that'll all get cleared because everything comes back to source. But if you're helping people with really dark lifetimes, you may have to relate to the radiant heart of their soul. And probably ask Kali to come in and assist you, because she knows how to handle those energies, and you don't have to. So we never know what we're going to say. It's always fascinating. We do want to speak to your question, Kimberly, about telepathy. If you were open to telepathy and then you closed out of concern for this person, you could go back in your consciousness and ask, what part of me was able to close that down? And I want to know how you did that. So you go with curiosity, not a make wrong, not, and I want you to open it up. You go with curiosity, because that was a self-protective mechanism. So you want to thank that part of you. Good job. I think that was good discernment. You shut that down when it was working with the wrong person. I appreciate that. And I'm curious how you would feel about opening it back up. So we feel that you've had telepathic capacities, very strong ones in other lifetimes, which is part of why you're interested. So you also learned in another lifetime how to close it down. And the way most people close down the third eye is they'll put a band around it, or if you've ever been in a climate where there's a tropical plant, like a banana plant, and it freezes a little in the winter, gardeners will wrap that plant in a gardening cloth and kind of tie it up. So they gather it and wrap it and tie it up. So we think your soul knows how to do that with your third eye. You just want to go in, but check in with this part that closed it. Otherwise you'll be fighting it. And then it's probably just taking the wrappings off and inviting it to open and blossom again. You're welcome. So, dear ones, we want to open for inquiries. How much would you like to practice channeling today? So a little bit, a lot, a whole bunch? Where are you in that today? Okay, seems good. We'll see where Kai is when she comes back. So take a breath and tune in. Feel your grounding, feel your core, feel your connection to your being on other planes. Tuning in, looking up into your soul. And letting the highest, brightest, clearest of your guides know that you're opening yourself to being a vessel. And if they'd like to work through you, you're open to that possibility. We'd like to see who might have an inquiry we can start with. Katie?
So I've been really focused on healing the last 2 years. And there's some things I'm terrified to let go of. because I feel like they took years to build. And part of me wants to acknowledge it's not an overnight fix. That's okay. And then part of me is also like, it's time to release this. And so I don't know how to find the balance there.
Say that last statement again.
Part of me also says it's time to release this, and I don't know how to find that balance.
Okay. So tuning in, finding that balance. So Kai, we're moving into channeling. And Katie, do you want to restate your question for Kai?
Sure. I had basically asked, there are some things I know it's time for me to let go of, but they are, I would say, some pretty deep traumas that took years to build. And so I feel like part of me knows it's not an overnight fix, but part of me also knows it's time to release this. But I don't know where to find the balance and all that.
Great. Tuning in, who's guided to respond? Kimberly?
The strong word that was phrase that keeps coming through is to honor them, which in terms of all those difficulties, to honor them.
So can you tune in, Kimberly? Maybe share a little more about what that might look like or what it might mean, or
They have brought you to this place and made you who you are, this beautiful human being. And it's about honoring those steps, those processes, those difficulties. I'm not sure how that lands, but it's a strange thing to say about difficulties, about honoring them.
mm-hmm.
I didn't hear the last thing. I'm sorry.
Sorry. It feels a strange thing to say about honoring difficulties, but that's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it lands really well though, because like I tried to sweep a lot of this under the rug for years. So I'm kind of just now letting myself focus on not spiritually bypassing, but just honor it and said that is part of my past. It exists, and coming to peace with it. Thank you.
Good. Good. Yeah, it felt powerful, and that what you added made it more, fleshed it out to where it made more sense. Good. When I bring through truth, I often get tears. People go, "Why are you crying?" Oh, just what happens when I bring through truth. Yeah. Who else? Laura?
I'm really touched by your tears, Kimberly, and the connection between the two of you. Katie, I guess the phrase, and this isn't to minimize at all what happens to us, but it's not so much what happens to us, it's how we relate to it. And the question comes in around what is it that's serving you by holding on, because there's a there's a balance you're looking for, and it's almost like the wisdom is already there. Like, I know I need to let go of this. And it almost like doing a stellar outcome around letting go and what it would look like and what you would feel, how you would feel if you let go, and like tangibly see your life and feel what you would feel if you did this letting go and how it would change your life. Does that make sense? And does that resonate at all? Or how does that land with you?
Better question.
Yeah.
I feel like that's I think I'm only on step one, and that's like step 3 or 5. So I feel like that's a wonderful thing for me to work towards, but I'm just not quite ready yet. I guess like
is it the letting go part that you're not ready for? Sorry, I'm curious.
It's the I don't want to be too optimistic and repeat past mistakes.
Mm-hmm. There's some trepidation there.
What would your channels say to that, Laura? Tune in.
Well, there's just been so much inner resource, and you have so much wisdom from what we've seen and experienced with you. And it's almost like if you could zoom out and see that future self just even a tiny bit. There's like this picture of fullness and completeness, and it's just like all the wisdom that you have already in your body and about your situation and how you navigate taking care of yourself even in your commitments, and how there really is so much care and concern that you already have. And so maybe holding some curiosity about like what that holding on is.
And I guess like I don't know. I guess like I don't know how to start with all that, if that makes sense, in a way that doesn't trigger me to a point of just making it worse, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it's about baby steps. Yeah, that's big.
We feel we'd go to the same place, Laura, of I hear your fear of doing it like before, and you're not that same person.
Mm-hmm.
You have grown. You've built resources. You bring more to it this time. And I wonder if you'd be willing to allow Kuan Yin to be there with your tears. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's move on. I'm sorry.
Great Mother Goddess, we invoke your presence here. You know more than any of us how to be with tears and pain and how to release it. So we call for some magic and miracles here. Invite each of you to stay in your own energy, in your own field, and know that Katie's got this. She and her being will handle it. Divinity is here. Love is here. Light is here. And we don't mind very well. Yeah. Hmm. We'd like to say one more thing, may we, Katie?
Yes.
Thank you. So what we notice is kind of the situation people find themselves in often of a part of me really wants to know and really wants the help. And another part of me wants to tell you all, leave me alone and let me go, let me do it my way. And those two parts are kind of at war in you. And when we're wanting to help someone, we want to align with the part that wants the help and be compassionate and kind with the part that wants to push it away. But that part that's asking for help needs alliance. It needs loving, caring beings to say, you can do this. You can do it, and you can do it differently. And we know you're scared. We know part of you just is so afraid to let go, but another part wants to. And that part has a lot of wisdom and helps a lot of people. And she might be wise to listen to. Because she'll do life differently when you listen to her. Yeah. So how did that land?
It lands. Thanks.
Ah. Was there anything else that feels wants to come through? And if not, we'll go to another question. And Katie, what are you voting for? That something else comes through, or we go to another question?
I'm so sorry. I think we're ready to move on, and I apologize. Sorry. Let's move
No
on.
need to apologize. You can ask for us to move on, that's fine. And this is healing. This is how it happens. A lot of tears, sometimes. The song comes, Cry Me a River. Sometimes that's what it takes. So let's clear the space. And we're ready for a new inquiry. Devorah?
So as I stand on the precipice of this quite awesome life change, I would welcome whatever wisdom or guidance would come through regarding how I can be best of service to these girls, to my family, and to myself all at once.
Great. Tuning in, looking up into your soul, feeling your grounding, your core, inviting Spirit to speak through you. Okay.
So Devora, what came through loud and clear is like, trust yourself. You've got this. The just showing up with loving presence is totally enough. And just kind of, so it was a very like, keep it simple. The Woody Allen quote, 90% of life is showing up. Was kind of like, I don't know why that came through. It was like, just really, yeah, and that you have all the tools of tuning into yourself, of knowing your boundaries. With the young girls, I think inquiry based, like really listen to their questions and be curious. So those were the threads that kind of came through. So hopefully some of that resonated.
Sorry, I was just writing. So thank you. That was great. And that feels right on. Really good. Appreciate it. I wrote it all down.
It does, yes. Who else? Laura?
Devora, hi. Yeah, very similar to what Kai said, is just simply to tap into your own deep wisdom of what you already know. Keep it simple. And remember to come back to yourself. Because there could be a lot of emotional, familial, ancestral flurries, is how I see them. Like little snow flurries, there'll be a lot of energy there, maybe, I don't know. And to remember to come back to yourself, because essentially you may be holding a lot of emotional space and energetic space. You will likely be. So remember your center. You always have that to come back to, and to reground and take a pause and hang out in the van and then return. And be love. That's really what those kids need, is love. Grounding, love. So, you got it. Yeah, good.
That's great. Thank you. I was also taking notes. And I think that was a really good point that you mentioned about the familial ancestral snow flurries. Yeah, good. I hadn't really thought about that, and it's really good. Evalena and I did some work on, kind of getting the ancestors off my back. We don't need them back on, and I don't need new ones back on me either. But so to just kind of keep that watchful sense, I think is good. Thank you.
Yeah, and maybe some regrounding or clearing out your chakras each day. I love the idea. I think both Kai and Kimberly have talked about bookends and the beginning of the day and the end of the day, and sort of like holding that spiritual attunement, having it bookended. So maybe there's a practice there that helps you reconnect to yourself every day, and then you start from that place as well. Thank you.
Excellent.
I think that's a really great point. I don't right now have like a set daily practice that I'm doing, and I think I need it. So, and just like a simple couple minutes thing, that really could help. So thank you. That's great.
Not quite clear. Anyone else? So we completely agree that your love is what's needed. The very fact that you responded to Kimmy by driving 3,000 miles says a lot. And these girls, young women, they are not used to receiving love. So they may be embarrassed that you came so far. They may find it hard to let the love in. You're coming with exactly what they need, but we aren't certain they have receptor sites for it. And to just be aware of that and let go of taking that personally. And some days they'll be really open, and then they talk to their mom or grandmother or someone else, and they're in their stuff, and there may not be much gratitude for what you're giving your life to for now. So you do it for them, you do it for the divine, and you do it because it's in your path to do. And you let go of rewards, and when they come, you enjoy them, and when they don't, you go, okay, they were raised by a narcissist. It's really okay. It's really okay they don't know how to relate to healthy love. And allow that to grow over time. We also feel what wants to get said is, you're not here to resolve all the issues from their childhood. You're here to give them a new influence. And they've got decades ahead to resolve the issues. But to have someone who cares this much is a whole different way of life. And it won't be lost on them even if they don't know how to receive it. Is that helpful?
Yeah. And actually what was one of the things that was very useful was, when I was a hospice chaplain, one of the affirmations that I would do with my other teammates is, I can't remember now exactly what it was, but basically like, may I give love knowing it may be met by like anger, resistance, and or like just disinterest. So kind of like, may I just give, and I don't need, I know that it's helping, I know it's going in, and they actually are very appreciative and are constantly saying thank you, you're so sweet, or at least Kimmy is. But that I have enough strength and love within me to know that they don't have to be affirming me back, to know that this is having a positive impact on them. And what you were saying goes along with this idea that I remembered yesterday, like, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So just, one day at a time, as they say. And but just to let go of rewards and outcomes is really useful. That was good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you, everybody. That was great. My little pep talk.
Yes. So are we complete? Is there anything else? Laura?
Just a real quick, what keeps popping in is the idea of the witness, of being the witness, and having that place of neutrality amidst, I don't know if it will be chaotic or whatever it is, emotionally chaotic, or whatever the family dynamics are, like holding that place of neutrality, of being a witness, just felt like it was wanting to be spoken.
That's great. Thank you. Yes, there's plenty of chaos over there. Their mother is sure to create more.
Yep. And maybe jealous of you. Really happy you're helping, and jealous that they love you more than her, as way a narcissist may go.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of like, there's going to be a bunch of arrows coming at me, I'm sure. So from her.
So find out what you like better than roses and put them up in your field.
Actually, roses work now that you explained what it is. So it's good. Thanks. She gets to be in a big rose a lot.
Great. Okay.
Well, I just wanted to give voice to the support you might need for yourself, and to claim that you're entering unknown, maybe difficult situation, lots of grief that might come up from within you. So Laura spoke to this in terms of like grounding with spiritual practices, but I just wanted to speak to really checking in with yourself. What do I need to replenish, and really honoring that? Maybe it's a walk in the woods, maybe it's co-counseling with a friend, or reaching out, another session with Evalena, or whatever it is, to really give yourself that permission to be supported as well as to offer support.
That's great. Thank you.
We feel we want to ask if any of you are willing to be like on a text thread with Devorah while she's doing this, if you'd like that, Devorah. It could be the little support group thread or something. Anybody open to that? Yeah. Good. And then you might add a few others. It really makes a difference. My women's group has a thread, and 2 people are visiting their families right now, and just the support we offer each other, to know someone's there. Good. Okay. Are we complete? We have a space. So we have a half hour left. We could do one question and a couple of responses if you wish. I'd like to use the last 15 minutes for closure. So does someone have a question? Must have all your questions answered. Laura?
I have like 5 questions, but was sort of just waiting to see if they sifted out and organized themselves into an actual question. But thank you. I guess it's a little broad, but I feel that I'm literally reorganizing in myself as I make all these changes, and you know, as soon as I decided to stop attending births, then I got all these calls about births, and more calls than I've gotten in a really long time. And I get it, you know, it's like the universe really wanted me to ground into my no, which is ultimately my yes to myself. And so there's all this creativity that's opening, and yet there's this deep desire to just rest. Like there's a part of me that wants to figure it all out and to like has so much energy and so much like organizing potential that I can feel is like almost like bubbling, you know, like when you add a little fizzy tablet to water and it like bubbles up. And there's also this yielding that wants to happen to rest, and then there's like all this fear comes in of, you know, the voices and the things that are saying that whatever I'm doing, giving up my career is totally crazy. So I guess I'm looking for the quadruple rainbows. I think we can all relate to that. So, you know, I know this is the right path. It has to be right. It's the path I've chosen. I can't entirely see what's next. I know there are a lot of things pulling together. There's a partner out there somewhere for me who's not that far away. There's possibly a move, and yet how do I literally hang in the balance? And are there any nuggets of anything that wants to be shared. Like,
So tuning in, looking into spirit, calling for the highest wisdom to come through. What wants to be spoken. Devorah?
Lara, you are going through an amazing transition of self, right? This is a shedding of the snakeskin. And in saying no, so you can more fully say yes to something that you don't quite know what it is, listening to that voice in you that wants rest is good. And this is liminal space that you are entering, that you're in. And liminal space is a place of possibility. It is often uncomfortable because the old ways don't quite fit anymore, but the new clothes, you don't know what they are. And so the more you can just give yourself permission to continue feeling into the transition and allowing just deep listening to what your body needs, to what your soul needs. Listening to those two voices and resting. This will really bring the riches that you are going towards. So there's no pushing, no forcing, no grabbing, more being and opening and shedding and opening.
that's beautiful. Thank you. I like the opening in there twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Devorah.
Felt very clear, and the no pushing, that's a good place for the no.
Yeah. Well, and it's such a perfect metaphor because, you know, pushing is such a part of labor and birth. And there are
Right.
times to not push because the baby isn't quite ready or the mama's not quite ready. And so you want to allow that potency to build. That's often like that would leave an imprint on a baby if that, you know, if like there was pushing before the baby was ready. Baby needs to build that potency for themselves. So such a beautiful metaphor.
Love that.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Good job. Who else wishes to speak? Or through whom does Spirit wish to speak? Okay.
Well, I just wanted to speak to the power of both of those voices, and I felt like you were feeling into both of them. So that need to just rest, and also that effervescence, that creative energy. And I guess the word that came was like they actually like both and is a reality that only you can discern any given day, any given moment, and just the power of prayer, and just to ask for that guidance. What is alive in me authentically right now, today, and just to trust. If you're feeling like you need to rest, then you rest. If you're feeling effervescent, that's okay too. If you want to organize a drawer or something, that's okay too. So just just those two things of like asking, you know, you're asking for those quadruple rainbows, like keep that alive, ask for that guidance, but that's really going to be like a moment by moment discernment, and just praying for that attunement that you know what's right. And so that's what's coming through to offer.
Yeah, I love that. I love the both and that's something that I've actually discovered in the last year. Like that wasn't really a part of my world before the last year. There was a lot of either or, and that was just what I grew up in. And so that both and the effervescence and the rest, that's a really beautiful reminder. Yeah,
Good.
thank you. Yeah, love that. Thanks.
Oh, very clear.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else? Okay. So Katie texted her internet went down with the storm. She's trying to get it back up. Hmm. I sense the words imaginal, imaginal time, imaginal realm. If you hold it that way, then you'll know that the rebirth is already built in. And in your metaphor, you haven't crested yet. But it's imminent. It's imminent. And to the thought comes to ask your question as a koan, what's so irresistible for me to do that I really must do it? And a koan is the kind of question that you ask over and over again. What's so irresistible that I really must do it? Or imagine that's how you entered being a doula, a midwife.
Yeah, that was really a calling.
Mm-hmm.
It was I was in Guatemala. Actually, I was in southern Mexico in some Guatemalan refugee camps, and we met some traditional midwives, and it was done. So it
Mm-hmm.
was just such a like no thought, boom, that trajectory of my life changed. And there's so much spaciousness here, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's really a blessing, and it's been challenging, and it just feels like there is this natural potency that's building, and so it's the ability to be in the quiescence and without feeling like I have to do and push and be and act and move and so I think a lot of it is there's so much more. That was such a clear bolt of lightning, and this is like a spacious pool of water that I'm getting to float like a float tank, with all the magnesium and then all the mental stuff. So I like the koan.
Good, good.
Yeah.
And you can also say to your psyche and your soul, I'm available for my next calling.
I like that.
Make it clear, crystal clear. Beautiful. Okay, let's clear the space. Welcome back, Katie. So we have almost 15 minutes. I'd love to have each of you have a chance to share with the group what you've gained from being here. What's your biggest takeaways from this work? Or what shifted in you? Kind of a gleaning of the kernels of our time together. And can we do the order we did it first? So you're first, Devorah.
Do we want to do a timing thing at all?
I think it'll work.
Well, it's been a very rich, spiritual, growthful time. The time that it's ending actually feels good to me as well. Like there's this natural break that's happening in my life. And I feel like I really got the sort of 101 that I needed. And I mean, when I think about how I was channeling in the first group versus how I've been here, it's just like kind of like night and day. I feel my ability to tune in and to release fear and just kind of let the flow come through. That's been great. And I almost have to go back to my journal to see like what it all was. It's hard to separate it out exactly from all of the self-growth that I've been doing and also my individual with you. So it's all kind of together, but I'm really in gratitude. And you are a lovely group of women. I'm glad that I've had this opportunity to share space with you.
Beautiful. Would you like some love and affirmation? Sure. Yay. Kimberly.
Gosh, there's so much that's changed in the last 6 weeks, and so I will start with gratitude as well to everybody here and to the Council of 12. It's been an awesome experience. I have definitely moved to significantly more spiritual awareness level, ascension, whatever it is. I don't have the words. You all have such beautiful words for all of this. I don't seem to get the words that I'd like to have, but yeah, it's been an incredibly rich experience. Yeah, it's just like I sort of keep giving thanks, give me more, just about every day, because I just have this huge thirst for knowledge, and I keep asking for download when I'm sleeping and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just been an incredible experience. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Would you like some love and affirmation?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So Katie, you're next, and I want to say that I won't ask if you'd like love and affirmation if you'd like.
I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I learned a lot about channeling, and I'm sorry I couldn't be as present. But that doesn't mean I'm not grateful and I don't appreciate the opportunity.
Good, thank you. So taking a breath. And Kai.
I think the biggest difference that I've noticed is like whenever something I'm doing is like any healing, mostly around healing, um, I'm definitely calling in help. And I don't exactly, I'm still building my relationship with the bigger help, but it's definitely a crown chakra opening. It's actually mostly just in my heart, like a real humble and sincere desire to just really unfold my highest potential. And so I feel like that's the most tangible, like alive, and it's quite beautiful. So I feel like it's another dimension almost of my day-to-day reality. I'd say pretty much every day I'm tuning in some way. So that's, even though it's not as like as totally like, oh, it's the first thing I do in the morning, bookended just with the kid. My reality is sometimes cold and different, but that it is alive in me. And that the other thing is I have sat in stillness more in the last 6 weeks and actually really enjoyed it. I think in the past it's always been maybe like something I felt like was good for me and I kind of resisted it or whatever, but there's just been this almost reveling in that. So those are actually pretty key
Mm-hmm.
shifts. I feel like kind of came, it was so funny to be without question, like because I came with all these questions, like I want to figure out this relationship with Josh and Marin, and I want to figure out when my son's going to school and what am I really doing dharma wise, and like I had all these things that I wanted to figure out. And now I'm just like, actually, I'm like living in the inquiry and I don't think any more guidance is necessary. Like along those lines, like I'm just actually just showing up and letting life inform me. So I feel like there's a more relaxed kind of just enjoying rather than trying to figure out. I think there still are going to be some decisions coming, but they're not right now. Probably at the end of the summer is going to be my next big checkpoint. But I also feel like, yeah, it was interesting to have the experience of offering whatever channeling wisdom. I feel like some of the advice I gave was really like useful to myself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and some things that didn't really land necessarily with other people. I'm like, oh yeah, it's because I want to plant things on the new moon and harvest on the full moon or whatever. So yeah, I think satsang, the company of the wise, it's such a I mean, the Buddha said it was one of the 3 pillars of a spiritual life, and it just felt really great to honor that in this way. So thank you, Evalena, for offering this container and creating that for all of us to to show up to. I really do appreciate it, and everybody for showing up. Yeah, thank you.
So welcome.
And I'll
Okay.
definitely receive
That's
blessing.
great.
Thank you.
Mm. Mm. And I want to name, I feel a new quality in you, Kai, since your rite of passage. I just feel a maturation in you. It looks really good on you. Yeah, lovely. And Laura.
Oh, wow. Yeah, echoing really, the gratitude for this group and Evelina for the container that you've helped to create, and the reminders and the love and the ease and the comfort of this space. This is my 4th go around in a row, so I feel like the nectar and the nuggets of richness are really quite juicy, and one of the biggest is just having more of a connection, much more of a connection with the divine, and feeling into how natural that is for me, and how that really was like something that I always felt as a kid, but couldn't put words to it and didn't get supported in that relationship because, of course, my parents didn't have that. And so, really, like, it's almost like rekindling a relationship with an old lover. Um, and that lover is me and my relationship with spirit. And so finding that ease, and like you were speaking to, Kai, of almost being in this witness state, has been a huge, I think, part of this for me. And the other part that I think is big is having autonomy over my energetic body and knowing who's in my space and what's in my space. And as a sexual assault and, you know, a survivor of rape and a survivor of incest, it's like you don't really know who the fuck is in your space, you know? Like there's always somebody and was always somebody in my space. And to have this clear, crystalline, energetic potency and vibrancy in my own chakras and my own body feels really transformational. And so I'm so grateful for that, and also grateful for the witnessing. I think so much of the healing that we do is in community, and it's hard to be vulnerable. And sometimes it's hard to be with other people's vulnerability, but there's such a richness that can be harvested from that experience and that witnessing together. So I'm really appreciating that from each of you.
Beautiful.
Thanks. And I'll take some loving. Mm. Getting easier to receive, and it's still a little uncomfortable. A little like, is that too much? But getting easier. Yeah.
Oxymoron, too much love? Nah.
Yeah. Right.
So I want to thank you all. I feel our work together has helped evolve the spiritual mentorship to another level. The way we've worked with questions this time and deeper diving, I love. This is my 6th cohort, and I'm going to take the advice we gave to you, Laura, and create more rest. I don't know if I'm moving in June or July, but I know I'm moving, and I'm going to take the summer for me, except for satsang and my practice. And I'll take 2 or 3 weeks off from it for the move. So we're looking at beginning in September for the next mentorship. And I think it might be a longer time. So I'm not every 6 weeks starting over. And we'll start with 101 for people. Divorce term for people just learning, so people get a sense of what we're doing. And maybe go 8 weeks or 12 weeks. I'm not sure. I think there may be an autumn mentorship and a spring mentorship or something of that sort. So I'm really looking at how I want to rework it, but mostly I'm just thinking about moving right now. So I do have satsang, and it's Thursday this week. It's free the first time to anyone who wants to come. And then it's a membership series. And it's lovely. It's hanging out with the council for 2 hours, and with them and me, really sharing about, in response to inquiries, and also usually we do something around activation in the 4th and 5th dimension or something of that sort. So it's 12 to 2 Thursday Eastern and 9 to 11 Pacific. And I'd love to have you. I'd love to have you join. And if you have anyone who might be interested, they can come for free the first time. Check it out.
And is that every month, or what's the
It's
recurring on that.
it's every month. It's the fourth Thursday. So it may be the first thing I get set up is my recording place. Because I'm going to continue the fourth Thursday, except for maybe December. We'll see. So thank you all so much. I really feel honored by your being here and opening and showing up, and I feel so grateful for my front row seat on transformation. And it's been great views this time. I love it. Thank you. And bless you. Bless you in your life. Bless you in your work. We want to thank the Council of 12. Thank you so much for all you've gifted us. And ask that all the beings of light who've assisted us receive our gratitude and our love. And we release you and ask that you continue to be guides and direct us and help each of us evolve into our highest destinies with miracles of grace and ease. And I ask the realms of light bless this earth with so much love and peace that all beings feel the touch of the one being within, turn to the light and open to love. Blessed be. And let's take a moment to offer each other's energy back, the crown, and really focus on bringing you in. Feel yourself coming all the way into your crown. The third eye, I bless you, I release you, I take myself back. The throat, I bless you, I release you, I take myself back. The heart, I bless you, I release you, I take myself back. The third, I bless you, I release you, I bring myself back in. The second, I bless you, I release you, I take myself back. And the first, I release you, I bless you, I bring my energy back. Feel your energy filling your core and just wrap your light around you. How about we do Ah Om to complete, okay? Breathing all the way in. Pause full. All the way out. Pause empty. Ah. Filling. Om. Breathe in. Om. Once more. Om. Thank you, universe. Thank you to yourself and to each other. Blessed be. And if you want to unmute and say goodbye, please do.
Bye, all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Peace
Everybody.
be with you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Blessings.
Blessings on your journeys.